It seems like everybody on this mountain has their own mountains to climb. This is Sakuna of Rice and Ruin. What is this game? Well, it's a game is what it is. You're in the shoes of Sakuna, who is a young goddess, the daughter of a god of war and a god of combat and a god of something. I forget. Harvest, I believe. God of harvest. So there's that. It's a very Japanese game. Like a super Japanese game. You got your side-scrolling elements here where you gather materials and you fight demons, like these rabbit demons here, who occasionally drop cooking ingredients that they were just having to carry on them. Totally not their own meat. Don't mind me just doing terrible here with the combat. Like, just generally awful. They drop acorns, they drop meat. You collect mushrooms, you collect ingredients for cooking, like I said, in the side-scrolling portions of it. But you've also got your farm area, where you grow rice, which makes Sakuna stronger for some reason, probably because she's part harvest goddess. Like I said, in combat, you got your jump, you got your heavy attacks, you got your light attacks, there's a heavy attack, you got your special abilities, which I'm about to bust one out on this idiot. You can gather things from the surroundings, like wood, metals, that sort of thing. There's a neat effect with some of your attacks where you can use your enemies as projectiles to smash into other enemies and just whomp on their bottoms. Which you're going to see here in this pseudo-boss fight here. There is a parry. I'm not entirely sure if it's been explained to me yet. Like I said, the story of this is super Japanese. Like, really Japanese. And, like, when I say that, I don't say it just, like, lightly. Ooh. Jerk. Yeah, I don't say that very lightly. It is very Japanese. Like, very, very Japanese. So that is a thing. It's also very pretty. The story is interesting despite its oddities. You know, from somebody who's been mostly into Western culture. You got days, you gotta manage your time, there's a cat on my head. These things happen, I suppose. You've got your aerial attacks, you've got your special meter there, you can see. The food you eat affects your stats, and whether or not you get any abilities from it. Like, I'm currently sitting on Natural Healing 2, which is basically just from having eaten. Which makes her HP regenerate outside of combat areas. Like, the gameplay itself is pretty good. I'm sure you're sensing a butt in here, because there certainly is one. In some of the later areas, like I chose to go into this area specifically for a reason. That's because in some of the later areas, you find yourself fighting more with the level design than you do with the actual enemies. Which is not great. As you can see, there's a day timer ticking down in the corner there. Each season has 3 days, I believe. Might as well go into it and show it off. But each season has 3 days. And during the seasons, you're responsible for planting, watering, weeding, and growing rice. Now this one right here is one where, like you can see that just there, where instead of fighting with the enemies, you're going to be mostly fighting with the environments, the level design itself. Fortunately, so are the enemies. I do believe that one just landed in a... Of course, she's got her raiment that she can use to climb. Each weapon also has an ability, or a potential unlock, that you can do at a certain point. As you do various things within the equipment tab, as you can see I don't have headgear or masks yet. But you have your powers. As I collect rabbit meat I can unlock more of this, which enemies will drop more meat as I whomp them. This simply raises the attack of the weapon. This inflicts more damage against two-legged enemies. As you grow, you get more things in your little house area. Like I've currently got a blacksmith and the weaver's house for a couple of the kids. Of course, you gain proficiencies in your abilities too as you play along, as you play through. You use them more, you get better at them, obviously, which is a nice touch. I like when games do that. You have some decent enemy variety so far. I've encountered a decent amount of interesting enemies. You get death pits like this, which are very fun. Where you can just abuse your special's secondary effect. Of course, various directional attacks have different things they do. This is a bit more action-oriented than I was expecting. I was expecting there to be a bit more lean on the farming. But I'm not complaining because it's certainly not bad. It's quite the fun game, actually. Like, you get different objectives. Some of the pacing's a bit wonky, but I'm not really going to complain too much about it. Like I said, my big complaint is some of the level design. Because, like I said, you're going to be fighting against the level design more than enemies at some points. Which... not great. The whole game's in this, like, pseudo 3D. Yeah, right there. You see that one right there. This pseudo 3D. Which makes it look really amazing when it's in motion. Runs just as good handheld as it does portable, or portable just as good as it does docked. I had a look at that earlier. Yeah. I quite like the game. It is a fun game. As it gets darker, one of the troubles that, yeah, enemies will grow stronger at night. And it also becomes pretty much impossible to see. As you go, you'll be able to send out your minions to gather food. Hey, hey! You see the exploration rate that just came up? There's different exploration rates for different areas. So there's a lot of replayability within the levels, which is nice. And then when you come home, of course, you've got this full 3D. You've got a training area there. You got your... I've got my weaver house here, which is also neat. There's a cat on my head. The blacksmith house here. I don't know what's going to go here, but I'm going to assume something's inevitably going to go there. There's a doggy there. The doggo is what allows me to send out my my minions to do stuff. As you can see, I've harvested the crops already. You can make fertilizer here with different components and things. Like, it's a real pretty game. Very pretty game. Like I said, the story is very, very Japanese. Very, very Japanese. And there's not a lot of things told explicitly to you in the game either, which is something I like as well. Just gotta talk to folks. Let's see. Drying your meats keeps them from just going bad. So there's that, and you can also change up her menu or allow her to cook whatever it is she likes. Of course, you always get something like this. Talking about their history, the history of the world. Very interesting. I don't want to say it's weird, too weird, but it is very interesting. It's definitely very Japanese in nature. And, which does kind of affect the likability of some of the characters, but it's not too bad. There are some really weird, very Japanese scenes in it when, like, the entire group's planting rice and they start singing, which I'm very grateful they did with the original Japanese voice actors rather than the American voice actors, the English voice actors, because, that was a bit terrible. I get thrown poop in every country. Different country, different life and people, so why every country throw poop? Alrighty then. That's... It's definitely an interesting game. I like it. As you can see, my effects from food there. Strength +4, Vitality +4, Fullness +34. And since she is a goddess, she doesn't actually have to sleep. You just rest until morning. As you can see, winter has started. Weather's excellent today. To snap outdoors, swaddled in the sun's warming embrace. You can also check your rice field status by talking to him. Among other things, I'm just gonna ponder around here. Loach, they can go bad for some reason. I don't know why. But, you also get quests when they have the little exclamation points over their head. Why is he sneaking around the... Being pursued by a woman is good fortune, is it not? You should be honored.
Seriously? What?
It's very entertaining. Like I said, I like the game. Little interactions like that. You also scoop poop from the outhouse and use it to make fertilizer. That is a thing. That is definitely a thing. And of course you got your water intake, your water outtake, or output. You don't always see things like this starting out, like the fertilizer load and the, soil nutrient load and the water temperature and level. Those are abilities you get as you play, which I really like. Like I said, I really like this game. There's a lot to enjoy here. The only downside I can see is that, yeah.
Want me to make something?
The only downside I can think of is some of the level design is kind of not great. I really want a copper hoe. I was thinking an oak and spade, and that's better.
Leave
okay.
it to me.
Like, yeah, he can create various weapons for you, and I'm assuming the Weaver girl, I forget her name, can do various raiments and potentially headgear. Fancy hats! Might get fancy hats. Maybe.
Should I make something, Goddess?
Bamboo hunter's garment. Cork tree branch I need for that. Enhances vitality and strength in winter. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm going to wrap up before this one gets too long and I've rambled too far. But yeah, this is Sakuna of Rice and Ruin. I unboxed the Divine Edition, the Collector's Edition, and it's a really amazing Collector's Edition set. The game itself is great, so if you've got the money for a AAA game sitting around and you'd rather have something nice rather than, you know, something that's going to disconnect you constantly at launch because it needs to always be online and not really have any end game, cough, 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 I'm not talking about any game that came out recently, pick this one up. I'll see you in the next video. I'm going to be streaming tonight at twitch.tv/NAKTS7. There will be a link in the description. I'm going to be doing some more Legos tonight. Might get through half of it, might not. It's a much bigger set than the previous ones that I put together, so we shall see what happens with that when we get there. Until then, happy harvesting. Whoosh.